Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Game Ball podcast stream. I'm your host, Mark, and we're back with the news hour. This is going to be a quick one tonight. For those of you watching live, we are having some technical difficulties with the frames being dropped, so I am locally recording this as well, so you will get to see everything here. But like I said, it's mostly going to be news. Because I have not played much this week. And first off, congratulations to Night Duck, as you can see in the chat over there. He had an issue in his basement, as everybody who was here last week saw. And his computer works. He did not get damaged in the oil leak. So congratulations to that. That'll save from being an expensive rebuild. Maybe you want to upgrade some parts or something, but either way, that's a lot better than it could have been. So congrats to Night Duck. So let's jump in quickly to what I've been playing. I basically took a week off streaming this week. Monday we did the Backlog Buster with Tom, playing through Hollow Knight. He beat the first boss, so GG's for Tom. And then I took Saturday off because we finally finished Trails in the Sky second chapter. And I just wanted a Saturday off, so next Saturday we'll be starting Neo Fantasia. So yeah, I haven't been playing much. I really wanted to get back to Mina and Assassin's Creed, but time did not dictate that. I went to the movies a bunch. I saw Hades Town. I had to watch the movie for TC Tam. I saw Spider-Man. So, you know, I hadn't much in terms of video games. I did play a lot of NCAA because in the few hours I had, I would just jump on, or while I was doing anything on here, on the computer, I'll be able to just fire up a few games and do that. The most important thing, I found my school. I'm probably going to be NC State for most of the game. They asked me to be the head coach after 2 successful years at Eastern Michigan. So go Wolfpack. So you'll be hearing my things as I navigate the NIL and get you more updates for anybody that is interested in it. Yeah, so thank you so much for indulging me for talking about sports ball. Thank you, Meta Militia. 64 months. Welcome back to the Game Ball. Please enjoy your emotes. That's mainly what I played. The things I will say, for those of you that are thinking about it, the NIL thing is a little tricky, but I think I've started to get the handle on it. Like, what it does is it forces you to make the decision on would you rather pay more for a guy that may be more talented, or try to unearth somebody that's not as expensive that may be better than the expensive guy. So it's kind of a give and take, especially when there's a school at NC State, which has like 1/4 the budget of your big schools, or half the budget once I start upgrading it. So it adds a nice little difficulty slider into the game. It looks kind of fun, and you know, just go from there. Which reminds me, if you're watching the chat here, Night Duck mentioning that his new graphics card that he got sent the graphics from medium to ultra. I got to try and upgrade the graphics on NCAA next time I get in there. I keep forgetting to do it. I lowered it because I got nervous because it crashed the desktop a couple times. I'm like, am I trying to run it too high? So I got to remember to update it at some point soon to see if I can play at a higher rate. But yeah. So making my way through that. The other thing is just learning how to spread out your hours a lot better than what I used to do, which was just pack a bunch of mostly, I don't ignore everyone, which is what I used to do. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. Like I said, if you want to hear my movie opinions, be sure to go to patreon.com/TCTAMPod. That's TCTAM pod. And for $1, you can join the Discord, and I put mini reviews up for both Hades Town and Spider-Man. And there's also an Odyssey one there earlier if you want that. But yeah, I mostly spent my free time doing that this week. So no updates on video games. So without further ado, let's switch over. Let me just make sure everything is up and kosher. All right, let's switch over to the news. And our first story here. EA says all regulatory approvals for its Saudi PIF acquisition have been obtained. Deal should be done next week. Electronic Arts says they just doubled up that. EA confirmed in September 2005 that it was to be acquired by a group of private investors, including Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, PIF, in a deal valuing the company at around $55 billion. Now, in an SEC filing published on Thursday, EA says the deal has passed regulatory scrutiny and can now go ahead, which it expects will happen next week. As of July 30th, 2026, all regulatory approvals required to complete the merger have been obtained. Electronic Arts currently expects the merger to close on or about the close of trading on August 4th, 2026. Completion of the merger remains subject to the satisfaction or waiver of the agreement, customary closing conditions set forth in the merger agreement. When completed, the deal will be the largest ever leveraged buyout in history. A leveraged buyout is an acquisition where most of the cost is covered by borrowed money, with the target company's own assets and future cash flow used as security to pay back the loan. So essentially, this could very much be a spot on the map in the history of video games in terms of where the industry goes from here. This could end up being a nothing burger, which I highly doubt, but it could end up being nothing. Or this could be the point you're going, that's when video games changed forever. Was the day this went through because of future things that happened down the line after this. We're going to cross that Rubicon on Tuesday, so we'll see. We're in uncharted territory, now. So hopefully nothing will come from it. As you might know, the PIF will now own 93.4% of EA once the deal is completed. All right, so moving on to other great gaming industry news. The Xbox console price increases in Europe and UK, and UK fully revealed, with the Series X now costing €200 more. Xbox confirmed in June that it would be increasing the price of its Xbox Series X and S consoles on August 1st. At the time, however, it only opted to share U.S. pricing increases, including an increase of $100 for its 512GB model and a $250 for its 1TB model. Now the price increase has been implemented. The full leap in cost for players in Europe has finally been revealed. As noted on the Reset Era form, the price hike in Europe is €200 for 1TB models and €150 for 512 models. The price in the UK has resulted in £170 for the 1TB model and £130 for the 512 model. Yeah. So, yeah. This is, I didn't pull this other story that came this week, where Asha Sharma says, hey, yeah, we're going to be back in the positive money at this time next year. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy consoles. Like, at Christmas, like, with these price increases, nobody's going to buy this. Like, you may get a bump maybe from GTA people buying consoles, but it's not going to be as much as if you would have kept the prices the same. without seeing their books, I don't know where they think they're going to be able to make all this money back if they're not going to get the same amount of uh amount of people buying. Maybe mathematics works. It's kind of like the difference between shooting a lot of 3-pointers and 2-pointers in basketball, where if you get you can get a lower number of people buying at the higher price, and it would equal the same or more as a group of people buying at the or more people buying at the lower price. Maybe the math works out that way. I don't know. I just see these prices and don't know how anybody buys these in the holiday season. So, yeah. Good luck to anybody that hadn't gotten any of the new consoles yet. This is making me even more happy that I did spend the money, even though I technically have more spare cash now than when I bought those two systems. But I think it would have equaled the same, you know. So I'm glad I got it back then. I don't have to worry about figuring out how to get this. And I'm glad I got the Switch too before anything went crazy. Yeah, so next up. A Final Fantasy VI remake would need 4 or 5 games to do the story justice, Yoshi P says. Final Fantasy XIV director Yoshi P. I think that's Nakai Yoshida. Yeah, Yoshi P. We'll go with that. Has explained why a Final Fantasy VI remake isn't necessarily feasible without it becoming an even larger project than the Final Fantasy VII remake was. Yoshida was on stage at the Final Fantasy XIV fan event in Berlin, where he was discussing the series with fellow director Hamaguchi, who directed the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy. Hamaguchi was asked which game was the biggest influence on his life. He answered that it was Final Fantasy VI, but also warned that every time he says this, it results in stories saying he's going to remake it, when that isn't the case. I've gotten this answer to a lot of media interviews, and so it's also a Square Enix title, so apologies for that. But Final Fantasy VI is the reason I wanted to work in games, so that always has been a special place in my heart, Hamaguchi explained. But every time I give that answer to a journalist or somebody, the next day there's an article online saying Hamaguchi will be remaking Final Fantasy VI. So I also say no, I am not at the same time. He joked. Yoshida then explained that while there may be appetite from players for a Final Fantasy VI remake, the work involved in such a project would be immense given the scale of the game. Of course, I understand the feelings of players, but you got to think about it. Look at Final Fantasy VI. It's such an incredibly huge game. The scale is just immense, and the same applies for other titles like Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX. Addressing Hamaguchi, he added, so of course now, since you're working on the Final Fantasy VII remake series, I do get that people would be asking for remakes of the other titles. But if we did remake those other titles, we'd probably end up having to release them in 4 installments or maybe even 5. Yeah, so essentially, as I've been saying, if you're going to redo 6, it has to be an HD 2D remake with maybe cutscenes and stuff. In like video or something like that, just to give it an upgrade. But you can't do the Final Fantasy VII treatment for Final Fantasy VI. It won't work. It's not the same. It's way too big of a game. Much more open world in terms of where to go and things to do, and the fact that a certain thing happens midway through the game, which changes the entire game. So, it would be double the work for them. So, yeah, I'd be fine with an HD 2D remake. They do not need to make a 3D one for me. So, I'm glad to see that they're getting out in front of this. Because, if they were going to remake anything, it would be, and even they shoot this down, it would be 8 or 9. Or even 10, because 10, you already have a lot of voice acting and upgrades. You just need to, spruce it up even more, with it. But you're not getting 6 or any of the previous games. None of them should go up to 3D. So, moving on. Speaking of a thing that's close to me and Tom were talking about on Friday, he may have read this story beforehand, but I did want to put it on the podcast. Final Fantasy VII Revelation director says he's working on arranging some kind of physical edition but can't confirm details. While Sony has confirmed that it will stop making discs for the new PlayStation games as of January 2028, Rockstar's decision to release GTA 6 as a code in box has led some to wonder whether other major publishers will follow suit. Speaking at the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival in Berlin, Final Fantasy VII Revelation director Hamaguchi told Games Radar he was working on securing a physical release of the game, but couldn't confirm exactly what that would entail. We're still having internal discussions on what the exact SKU product lineup is going to be for Revelation, so I can't say anything in particularly definitive at this point in time. He said, but I'm working to make the arrangement to allow us to have some kind of physical edition. Hamaguchi explained that every company has its own terms regarding physical releases, and this is what currently being discussed with platform holders. Obviously, say if you're talking to Nintendo, there are considerations about the storage limits on key cards and things like that, and then other platforms about how much you can put on a disc, he said. Each platform and first party have their own specific rules and regulations that we need to take into account and think about what format is actually going to be best for the game. There are discussions that we're having at this point in time. I do hope that we'll be able to come up with something that is as close as possible to what players and fans are going to want, but you have to look forward to future announcements for that. Stressing that nothing has yet been confirmed, Hamaguchi joked, if you publish this and then we announce all the products later and there is no physical edition, then they're going to rip me to pieces. So, as me and Tom had been discussing on, I believe it was Friday's stream, we both want to buy a physical edition of Revelation because we have Remake physical and Rebirth physical. So, get Revelation physical. We'll just, for some strange reason, complete the physical edition. It'll probably be the last of physical editions that I would buy for Sony, really. I am part of the ones that goes a little more digital than physical for everything but Nintendo. I want to do physical Nintendo games because I do like having the little cartridge. So when I can, I do physical for Nintendo, but mostly digital for everything else. Unless if there's some kind of super sale on Amazon where the physical edition was much cheaper than the than the digital, like sort of, the one thing we did discuss that I am 100% trying to buy secondhand, even if it's GameStop. I really don't want to do GameStop, but go to some mom and pop store or GameStop or something and see if they have Halo for PS5. I want a game that has the PS5 blue logo and Master Chief on the cover. I don't want to play the game. I just think it'll be really stupid to have that game. And if I can find a place where they have a used copy, I will be purchasing that used copy. But I do hope Final Fantasy comes out physically just so I can complete the trifecta for sentimental purposes. Next up, this story is going to be a little weird in terms of how you guys see it, just because I did pull it from IGN, and I don't have the window set up for IGN's thing, but I did notice this over here. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake will launch head-to-head with a GTA in November, and Nintendo fans believe this after Amiibo release date revealed. Eagle-eyed Nintendo fans have seen a pair of new Amiibo figurines dated for November 11th and believe this will also turn out to be the date for Ocarina of Time, and it arrives on Switch too, due to some pretty convincing evidence. As noted by a user on Reddit, Nintendo typically releases Amiibos on the same day as new games, even if the games and the Amiibos themselves are unrelated. One reason for this could be to cut down on shipment costs for physical items, with Amiibos traveling to distributors alongside stocks of physical games. Regardless of the reason, the evidence is there and has been used to accurately reveal unannounced Nintendo game releases in the past. For context, the Minero, Construct Amiibo, had its date announced before Fortune's Weave. Meta Knight and Shadowstar had announced its date, and before Procopia, and DDD and Tankstar had its date announced before Rhythm Heaven Groove. The Redditor wrote, listing 3 examples of games and amiibos arriving at the same time this year, even though the figures and games were unrelated. This time around, Nintendo has listed the Sword Kirby and Dragoon plus Noir DDD and Hydra amiibo for launch on November 11th. Following the above pattern, fans believe this will reveal Zelda Ocarina of Time's launch. And as we've been saying, I want them to go head-to-head with GTA. I will probably end up buying both, but they are the only game that can go head-to-head with it and sell as much as they were going to sell. Because the people that are going to buy GTA are probably still going to buy GTA, and it's most of them are not the same people that be buying Ocarina of Time. Most of the people that won't be buying Ocarina of Time will probably most likely not be buying GTA. There's a small circle of us that would play both games. And yeah, it's the only game that can still be successful going up against it. I so want it to happen. Even if it's a week earlier, even if it's the 12th or the 11th or whatever, it'll still be great that they're the one game going head-to-head. And this is just leading to my hypothesis a few weeks ago, and wish. So, can't wait. Fingers crossed when that Direct come out soon that they can announce the release date for that. All right, moving on to the final 3 stories here. These are just updates for things coming out. Major Nintendo Switch update adds Mario Sunshine U and unreleased Virtual Boy games. Nintendo has announced a major Nintendo Switch Online update planned for next month, which will add new games and features for Virtual Boy and GameCube. On August 13th, Super Mario Sunshine will be added to Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics on Nintendo Switch 2. Previously, the classic platform was only available via the now discontinued 3D All-Stars collection. On August 4th, 2 previous unreleased games will be added to the Virtual Boy library, along with previously announced ability to customize screen color. The 2 unreleased games are D-Hopper and Zero Racers. Notably, the latter is a spin-off game of F-Zero that was completed but ultimately never released, according to a former Nintendo staffer. G-Zero, which was later renamed Zero Racers, was originally in development for the Virtual Boy, but the commercial failure of the hardware meant it, along with a number of other planned titles, were never released. The majority of Virtual Boy's library has now been added to Switch Online offering, which launched earlier this year and require a physical accessory to play. So if you, for some reason, like Super Mario Sunshine, you can now play it with the GameCube on Nintendo Switch 2. So that's on there. And obviously, it's crazy, all these Virtual Boy games are coming out. It's insane that this is getting as much attention as it is. But awesome as well. So if you do have any interest in Super Mario Sunshine, you do have the upgraded expansion pack and a Nintendo Switch 2. You can play that as of August 13th. Alright, and our final 2 stories here. August 3 PlayStation Plus free essential monthly games include Dying Light 2 and Big Walk. August selection of games consists of 3 games which are available for players to claim from August 4th to August 31st. The first of these games is Dying Light 2 Stay Human Reloaded Edition, which is available for both PS5 and PS4 players to claim. This is joined by Big Walk, the PS5 cooperative multiplayer adventure designed around talking to your teammates. Finally, the third game in the selection is Signalis. Ooh, I only played parts of that game, so awesome. A PS4 survival horror in which players search for their lost partner and lost dreams. All 3 games will be available to claim from August 4th until August 31st, at which point they will be replaced by another selection of titles. Players can continue to claim July's plus essential games until August 7th. These include Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 for the King 2, and Crosscode. Sony previously announced that starting January 2026, PS4 games would no longer be a key benefit of the service, with the platform holder instead turning its focus to PS5 titles. This doesn't appear to have happened, however, as the addition of the PS4 game Signalis this month suggests. Yeah, so if you have PS Plus in any form, I would highly recommend Signalis, and Dying Light 2 got some good reviews, and is a game that I would want to try at some point. Alright, and our final story. Like I said, this is going to be a short one because I didn't play many games this week. So we're looking at the half-hour news hour for August this week. So, the LEGO PlayStation is reportedly coming in October with a limited-time Astrobot set. Back in March, insider LEGO Minecraft Goat, which has a lengthy track record of leaking upcoming LEGO sets and their pricing, stated that a LEGO replica of the Sony PlayStation was in the works. The report claimed that the set will cost $159.99 and will consist of 1,911 pieces, including at least the console and one controller. Now LEGO leaker BrickTap has given more information on the set, including a likely release date and news of a gift with purchase promotion. According to BrickTap, the LEGO PlayStation will be released on October 1st and will be accompanied by a gift with purchase promotion, including an Astrobot set. The official LEGO site frequently adds GWP as sets as part of limited edition offers along major set releases. They aren't sold by LEGO as individual standalone products and can only be acquired as part of the promotional deal. As such, it is all but certain that the LEGO Astrobot gift with purchase will only be available by buying the LEGO PlayStation set directly from the LEGO website, and this will likely only last for a limited time after its release. So if you are really into LEGO and you want a PlayStation, you can sign up for and buy this, and you'll get the special Astrobot set with the purchase here. This is a cool way for people that do collect Legos to maybe get a little extra for buying directly from the LEGO site. I love anytime there's a special promotion tied to buying specifically from the distributor rather than going through a big box corporation. So if you love Lego and you love PlayStation, pick this up and you'll get an extra thing on the side there. So so that will do it for this podcast. Thank you all for joining me. We should have a lot more to talk about next week because I will be streaming Killer Instinct tonight, and then we'll be starting Neo Fantasia on Saturday. And I should be able to get some time with Mina and Assassin's Creed at some point during the weekend. So, we'll have more to talk about in the beginning, plus the news here. News is going to slow down a little bit for about a week, I would say next week, and then it'll kick back up at the end of August. It'll be more about game releases and things like that at that point. So I think Gamescom either is happening or has happened. I think it's in August, so that's when we'll start getting. Then we'll have TGS and news will pop. D23 might have stuff coming up, so I expect next week to be a little slow, but after that it should pop off in terms of news. So, yeah. Thank you guys for joining me. Once again, we are going to be live Monday, Friday, Saturday, and then back here on Sunday. And then if you want to discuss video games, movies, music, anything, I highly recommend going to patreon.com/TCTAMPod. That's TCTAM pod, as in they called this a movie. For $1, you can join the Discord there. Everybody you see in chat here is there. And we discuss, like I said, movies, music, TV, books, just general stuff. And, I'll put some polls up there. I'll probably have one up on Tuesday. I believe I didn't put one up last week. I don't think I put one up this week. I don't think there was anything really to throw up there. There might not be anything again this week. I will see. Maybe we'll just do a fun poll. But I do put polls in the video game section there. That'll have, we'll discuss on here. So yeah, again, thank you guys for joining me. It has been fun as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye!